Welcome back to another Terranscapes video. This is the final ocean board video of the boards themselves. I'll show you the crates when they get packed. But this is the set in its entirety, and I'll go through it with photos, as I mentioned in the previous video. Trying to block all the shots and control the lighting for an actual video is very difficult, and I'll even show you capturing the waves without overexposing them. Very difficult. So I ended up going with photos. I've got them all edited, and I don't think we need to chat anymore. Let's go over to the computer and I'll show them to you. So let's take a look at the ocean board set. And first, before I even say anything at all, I really found this set challenging to photograph and challenging to color correct. You can see here how blown out the waves are in these shots. Either the set is completely underexposed or the waves are completely blown out. So you're going to see some various lightings as we go through as I try to capture individual spots and somehow get some balance in that. I did quite a bit of tweaking with these photos, and it's not possible to fix everything with my technical level. And the other thing to mention is that a lot of tricky color correction. My camera had a lot of red in it in a lot of the photos, so tamping that down, you know, this has a very slight green cast to it. I don't know if your eye notices it. I do. But you know, like here it looks pretty right. So tricky. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that as we go through, you'll probably see some variations, and that is something I wanted to point out. So here's the set. This is the 20 boards. The 20 boards comprise of a weight of 122 pounds all combined. There is 22.5 feet of shore that you see here, and that is about 6.8 meters for our metric friends, and this is about 8 meters or 26.5 feet of waves. So yeah, that's kind of why it took a little while. It's a big set. Here's a shot I really wanted, and it is useless because of all this dust. That made me sad, but I'm including it in the video just because I thought it was cool, even though it didn't work. And I don't know why it's dusty. I dusted everything before I put this out, but you know what? It was taking me so long to shoot, dust started falling back on them. But I wanted a nice shot of the shore to get that sense of depth and kind of get a feel for how realistic it looks from an eye, you know, a swimmer's perspective, if you will. And I thought it looked pretty good. I was pretty pleased with that. Here's a shot of this corner board, and with a few of the boards in the back to try to give it a little bit of context and get a sense of the size of the set. You know, some shoreline out here. Here's a close-up of this rock here that was done fairly early on, so the splashes are a little bit older, and I got a little bit better as I went along. I still think they're all right, but you'll see some that were definite improvements towards the end of this. And the other thing that I liked was that these waves come around this rock all right. From this angle, at least, they look pretty good. I was surprised when I actually looked at this photo, and this was a real tricky, you can see how they're coming in, and then I had to bend them around this corner so they'd hit the shore in the right direction, because these waves are going to have to come in this way as well. Whew, that was not easy, and I thought it looked pretty good, all things considered. And many people have mentioned, so I'm going to address it right now, a little too much chop around the rocks. I get it. I think it's legitimate. I might change that if I were to do something similar in the future, but it was early on in the process when this got done, and you know, I wasn't redoing the board. So here's another shot of that cove, if you will, and just you know, interesting to see the foam in the sort of cascade. I thought that really worked pretty well. This is too blue and too green. I got to go back in and fix that. Anyway, I thought I'd work from the outside in, right up close. And so here's a shot of the wave a little further away. And I'm going to show you the close-up in a second. Here's a shot of the shore. And I like the way the grasses came out. Bending the tops, I thought, gives them so much more life. The seaweed looks good. because I was really worried when I was putting it down about getting, wetness on the sand. You can see how it's a little darker right in these areas, and that could have bled out into a big, wet spot that looked like this around this, which wouldn't have worked. So keeping that under control, getting them to stick down, look wet, matted, I was pretty psyched with how that came out, and a little bit of seaweed, moving in the water, that looked pretty good to me too. So I was pretty pleased with this. Here is another shot of the rocks, and with this one, I was really trying to get this water kind of like wave splash up, falls forward, splashes here, and then there's a little outpour over here to kind of create some ripples over there. So I like the movement around this rock. I thought this came out. Here's the wave kind of coming back in that idea. And here's a close-up of the, here's a close-up of a wave. And the, I'm sorry, the color on this, I have to go back in and edit all these again. Anyway, when I put them up on the website, they'll be fixed, I think, and I might talk about my website in a little bit later video. But in any case, I'm dragging this on. The goal at the very end of the set was to soften the texture of the waves themselves. I had a very aggressive texture early on, and it really wasn't working. And at the very end, I put on another layer and really softened it. And I think the billowy effect that it gave this, it looks so much better than where they started out. I was really pleased with that, and I thought this photo, I really wanted a close-up photo of them to because it really, when you take a close photo like this, it exaggerates everything. If there's a problem, you're going to see it, and I was really pleased that this came out as well with this kind of a near macro shot, really. And here, this is too green. This is killing me. All right. You guys know it's killing me, though. So I'll try to say good things about the project and then complain about the photography. So here's a shot of a couple of the cliffs put together. And this gives you an idea of the seams. It's not, hyper tight right in here, but I'm willing to accept that. A lot of work to get that tightened up. And you can also get a sense here of some of the tiling of the boards. I was very pleased with how well they tiled. I actually commented to my wife about it, saying better than I expected, better than I had hoped. Because once you have a little deviation in 90 degrees here on a couple boards, you start putting them all up against each other, you start seeing some real deviations later on as they tile, and they looked really good tiled together, with a couple gaps in height, and I'll show you a photo that highlights a couple of those in a minute. And I wanted this one to have a more of a, a feel with, like a stylized photo, if you will, to give a sense of the sort of aesthetics of the set rather than just looking at, the sort of individual pieces. And this photo, I wanted to get this little chasm here. I thought this would be a wonderful little passageway. And I just want to point out, however, that this is an artificial arrangement. You cannot put these boards this close to each other without having ocean boards behind them if you do anything more than, a narrow channel of water, basically 2 boards wide. So it can be done, but you're not going to get this kind of an arrangement in a full board set. But I wanted to put it together just for the evocative nature it creates. Quick point before I leave here. Here you can see where the boards don't match in height. There is a couple spots where that happened, and really, I'm surprised there aren't more, and I was pretty glad to not see them glaring at me on multiple spots. There's a couple, and made me not happy, but I got them all shimmed so that they sit almost perfectly for a huge majority of the set. And you can also see the tiling, and I just really, getting these 90 degrees was no joke. And here is a more natural color, so you can get a sense of the rocks a little bit better. But this is going up the path. Here's a shot of these, and I have a blue backdrop that I painted a while back that was nice to be able to throw behind this for this shot, just to give it a little more of a more natural backdrop. And here, this photo is for this splash. That's it. I just really wanted that splash. I think it's my favorite in the whole set. You know, just wonderful voids, you know, that negative space, very important. Always think about negative space. It adds a lot, as much as the actual objects do themselves. And it just looked dynamic, and it's my favorite. Also, quick mention, you can see just a couple holes here, and I think there's one more maybe here. Oh, there's one more there. These are so rare. This photo surprised me in that I saw them, and I was just really pleased at how few bubbles there were in the casts. They're so crisp, and that was a huge goal for me, and I spent a lot of time, if you go back and watch my other videos, making these rock molds, and to know that they gave this final result made it feel a lot more worthwhile. Here, I thought this was nice to give another shot of the rocks and then have these areas crashing against it, so you can see how I improved a little bit on those waves as I moved along. And here's another shot of the whole set all put together. And this is 18 boards. 2 boards are off screen because it's a 3x6, so you'd have 2 oddballs. And so I took them out of the set just to give a different arrangement. Of course, these could be placed in the corners, that sort of idea. And there is some flexibility in arranging the shore, and it varies a little bit on how you're going to use the corners. And it, you know, I wouldn't say there's an infinite number of arrangements, but it depends strongly on how much shoreline you want. Really is the factor in the end. So at least a dozen or more figurations for this, including, you know, with the cliffs and all of that. Last thought before I leave, another problem I was really worried about was the color of the water compared to other tiles. And you can see this tile, and really I guess I could say this tile, little bit off in the blue. And I pointed out both as a I wish I had gotten it better, and also as a thank God it's not worse. This is pretty good, you know. I mean, it's not like it jumps out. And in fact, when I was setting them up, you know, in many instances, you really couldn't see them. And under some lights, they stood out just a little bit more than what you see. But really, I was really excited about how well they actually ended up matching. It's a long story about the work I did to do that. And really liked how that thinning of the you know, the water and the sand casting out from it, that is the look I wanted. That's the look I got over large areas. It could have been a little better in some, but you know what, the deeper I push that out to get that nice, you know, shimmer here, the further out I have to push the waves. And you can see here, right, I'm starting the waves out here because this is where the water is getting shallow, and that's, you know, where the waves would begin. So taking this and pushing it back, more waves. I have 26 feet of waves. That's enough. That's enough. And one more thought, again, just the joins. So pleased with how these corners are meeting up and the tightness of it. I got lucky, I think, in some ways based on the way I was doing it, and so that was a big relief. And that gives you another look at the set all compiled together. And here is a fun, quick shot just to see what the room looks like while I was shooting these photos. I started very early in the day, coffee. I ended up shooting photos all day until the evening. Beer, yes. I drink Coors Light. I drink them a lot. Not a lot. Well, it all depends. If you're a teetotaler, it's a lot. But I also appreciate quality beers. So don't give me a hard time for my silver bullets. You know, when I'm working, I can't down a 7% IPA and expect to be able to control photography well and be able to put all the boards back carefully at the end. Because I had to do that before the evening because I wanted to return my living room to a functioning state. You can see here, my living room is not huge, but there wasn't a lot of leftover space for it. And these are the areas I had to cut out in those photos that you saw that were very dark on the sides. And very quick finish. This is the reflector I was using, I mentioned in the last video, with the flash to be able to bounce it back onto something so that I'd have shadows falling towards me or be able to control the shadows on top of the waves. So there was a little context underneath them. And this is my LED light on the tripod that I got for it, which is a very, very low quality tripod, but enough to hold my reflector. You can see the high tech going on behind the scenes here. So anyway, that's a wrap up of the set. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at it, and let's wrap it up at the other camera. So that gives you a look at the ocean boards and their majesty, if you will. Feel pretty good about the set looking at it. There's so many things that I feel like really worked well. Of course, I see some improvements, always. But it was really rewarding for me to see them all laid out and see all that work in its culmination as a single set. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found this entertaining or informative. Questions and comments, always welcome down below. Please feel free to leave them. And over here will appear, or has appeared, the links if you want to send a rapid fire or a question for the Q&A. And a bunch of rapid fires are about to come out. I'm going to get caught up on those. And then we have a fresh November. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll come back for November, because you know I will be back soon with another Terranscapes video.